Started weed when I was 12, and then I worked up to like acid and coke when I was like 14. And then when I was just 15, a pimp picked me up, and I just kind of fed my addiction from there.
Do you realize that every night, thousands of people are pushed aside as if they were trash? Faded photographs, worn sleeping bags, even prescription bottles lie scattered across cracked sidewalks, each one a fragment of someone's life, now treated as refuse. In this episode of Evict and Forget, we pull back the curtain on a practice that claims to restore order, but instead deepens despair. But first, we need to understand exactly what these sweeps are and what they leave behind. Viewed through the lens of a travel documentary, homeless sweeps are anything but benevolent cleanup efforts. They are, in truth, state-sanctioned evictions of people surviving in tents, under overpasses, and along crowded sidewalks. Instead of offering housing or meaningful outreach, city governments deploy teams of police officers, sanitation crews, and sometimes private contractors to dismantle encampments, seize personal belongings, and destroy whatever can't be hauled away. Municipal leaders often justify these actions as public health measures, citing blocked sidewalks, rodent infestations, or unsanitary conditions. But the human toll is staggering. The practice itself isn't new. It dates back to the 1,980 and surged after the 2008 housing crash. But in recent years, it has intensified dramatically. According to the 2025 National Homelessness Accountability Report, US, cities carried out more than 3,500 documented sweeps in the first quarter alone, a 12% increase compared to the same period in 2024. In cities like Los Angeles and Seattle, sweeps happen both on set schedules and as hasty responses to political pressure or media attention, often giving residents as little as 30 minutes to gather what they can before everything else is lost. Critically, no formal system exists to log or safeguard the belongings taken during sweeps. Vital documents, IDs, prescriptions, even children's school records often vanish without a trace. In March 2025, a landmark ruling in California required 48 hours advance notice and secure storage for seized items, but enforcement has been inconsistent at best. As these forced clearances spread across the nation, they displace the very people most in need of stability, sacrificing long-term solutions for short-term optics.
Honestly, that disease, that struggle, it's real, and the demons were eating me alive, and that shit, it's hard. It's so hard.
Beneath the shadow of gleaming high-rises and trendy coffee shops lies a perfect storm of economics and politics, driving homeless sweeps to epidemic levels. From 2020 to 2025, median urban rents in the nation's 50 largest metro areas rose by 28%, jumping from $1,350 to nearly $1,730 a month. That surge pushed countless families and individuals onto sidewalks, into tents, and beneath bridges. According to the 2025 Annual Housing Report, 68% of major cities identified gentrification as the primary force fueling visible encampments, as low-income renters are priced out faster than safety nets can catch them. Politicians, eager to showcase clean streets during campaign season, increasingly treat sweeps as photo ops. In the run-up to the 2024 midterms, surveys revealed that 62% of city councils authorized at least one unscheduled sweep within 60 days of an election. In Los Angeles alone, officials approved 482 operations in 2024, up 15% from the year before, often citing little more than community complaints or vague pedestrian safety concerns. From a budget perspective, clearing an encampment runs about $1,400 per sweep day, covering police overtime, sanitation crews, and equipment. By contrast, placing a person in supportive housing costs roughly $13,000 a year. For cities staring at deficits of $200 million or more, the quick sweep often looks more attractive than the long-term investment in affordable housing. Media coverage adds another layer of pressure. A single televised sweep can boost positive sentiment toward local leadership by 25%, according to a 2025 civic engagement study. But this optics-first strategy ignores a hard truth. 74% of those displaced simply move to equally dangerous spots, fueling a revolving door crisis. The convergence of rising rents, election year politics, and cost-cutting has turned sweeps into the go-to response. Next, we'll step into those dawn raids ourselves and witness how these forces play out in heart-wrenching, street-level operations. Picture this. Shortly before sunrise, a lone flyer appears on your tent, an eviction notice in tiny print. By 4:30 a.m., a convoy of patrol cars, private security vans, and sanitation trucks rolls in. In Los Angeles alone, crews logged 482 sweeps in 2024, an average of 3 per day. Seattle reported 312 sweeps, Phoenix 274, just in the first quarter of 2025. Within minutes, workers move in. Mattresses, prescription bottles, family photos, anything that can be stuffed into garbage bags or loaded onto flatbed trucks is hauled away. According to the 2025 National Homeless Data Initiative, more than 20,000 tents were cleared nationwide in the first quarter, with an average of 30 personal items seized per tent. Imagine losing your ID, your medication, even your only blanket, with virtually no warning. Most residents are given just 30 to 60 minutes to salvage what they can. Yet, only 12% of cities comply with California's March 2025 ruling requiring 48 hours notice, and even then, secure storage is rarely provided. Vital documents vanish. Birth certificates, driver's licenses, medical records, vehicles are towed. Bicycles are crushed, and no alternative shelter is arranged, forcing people to circle back and rebuild encampments elsewhere. By 6 a.m., the sidewalks are bare, the streets look clean, but at the cost of uprooted lives. These ruthless, high-speed clearances may restore order on paper, but they shatter communities in practice. Next, we'll dive into the true human toll of evict and forget. In San Diego in 2025, city crews displaced 842 people across 27 encampments. Nearly 60% were living with chronic health conditions or disabilities, according to the Regional Homeless Coalition. That same week, emergency rooms recorded a 22% spike in admissions linked to exposure and stress-related crises immediately following sweeps. One scene captures the devastation. A 8-year-old Navy veteran collapsed after discovering his duffel bag shredded and his discharge papers torn apart. His Purple Heart medal, once kept safe in a battered tin box, was gone. Just a few feet away, a mother of 3 desperately searched the debris for her toddler's favorite blanket. Her youngest clung to a half-flattened piece of cardboard, the same panel that had once served as his playmat. These stories are not isolated. Across cities, similar scenes unfold, with children under 5 making up 14% of those directly affected by sweeps, many witnessing their parents' despair for the first time. The loss of medication is especially catastrophic. A Veterans Affairs audit this spring found that 41% of veterans displaced by sweeps missed at least 1 dose of vital prescriptions within 72 hours, worsening conditions like diabetes, hypertension, and PTSD. Mobile clinics reported a 35% surge in crisis calls on sweep days, fielding urgent pleas for insulin, asthma inhalers, and mental health support. For the 1 in 4 chronically ill individuals among the unhoused, these interruptions are not just setbacks, they can be fatal. Trauma deepens with every eviction. A 2025 survey by the National Alliance to End Homelessness found that 68% of sweep survivors reported heightened anxiety or depression within a month of displacement, and 23% admitted to suicidal thoughts. In Los Angeles alone, more than 3,200 people lost vital documents, IDs, birth certificates, or medical records in just the first quarter of the year, according to a city-funded audit. Without these papers, access to shelters, jobs, or benefits becomes nearly impossible. What may look like a freshly cleared sidewalk on camera hides the truth. Families forced to relocate 2 or 3 times a month, elderly individuals left to face cold nights without coats, veterans stripped of both dignity and proof of service. As our lens turns toward the next tent city sweep, remember, these numbers are not just statistics. They are faces, stories, and futures tossed aside in the name of urban order. Los Angeles led the nation in homeless sweeps last year, authorizing 482 separate operations in 2024, up from 420 in 2023, and displacing roughly 11,600 people, according to the city's Q4 report. Each sweep cost the municipal budget an average of $1,420 per day, adding up to more than $3.2 million in enforcement and cleanup. Despite a court order requiring 48 hours notice and secure storage for seized belongings, 63% of residents interviewed said they received less than a day's warning. As tents disappear and personal treasures are tossed into dumpsters, advocates warn that LA's approach spreads the crisis across the city rather than solving it. In San Francisco, 156 sweeps took place in 2024, from Soma to the Tenderloin, uprooting an estimated 3,200 unhoused residents. The city spent $7 million on sweeps, nearly triple the budget for new supportive housing units, while justifying the actions under the banners of public health and sidewalk access. Yet more than half of those displaced reported losing vital medical records or prescription medications during clearances. A landmark settlement in March 2025 mandated reforms, but activists argue real change remains elusive as sweeps continue under the label of public safety. New York City carried out 210 documented sweeps across Manhattan, Brooklyn, and the Bronx in 2024, displacing about 5,300 people. The NYPD, working with sanitation crews, cleared encampments from subway entrances and public parks, spending nearly $4 million on overtime and contract labor. While the city piloted a safety net program offering short-term storage lockers, only 22% of sweep victims were able to use them in practice. Critics note that moving people into outer boroughs doesn't reduce homelessness. It simply pushes it out of sight, trapping residents in an endless cycle of relocation. Seattle. Seattle recorded 98 sweeps in 2024, an 18% increase from 2023, displacing roughly 1,900 people. The King County Homeless Task Force reported that nearly 70% of those swept were back on the streets within 2 weeks, citing broken outreach promises and a lack of affordable alternatives. With each sweep averaging $1,100, city officials are facing growing pressure. In December, 35 local faith groups issued an open letter calling for an end to forcible clearances. While Seattle has launched a mobile storage initiative, many unhoused residents say the program remains underfunded and understaffed, leaving their possessions just as vulnerable. Portland conducted 142 sweeps in 2024, displacing about 2,300 people from riverfront camps and freeway underpasses. The initiative cost the city an estimated $2.1 million and sparked fierce public debate. A July 2024 audit found that only 16% of belongings confiscated during sweeps were ever reclaimed. Local nonprofits documented spikes in hospital visits for hypothermia and dehydration following each clearance. Although the City Council passed a November ordinance requiring community-led impact assessments before future sweeps, enforcement has lagged, leaving hundreds still vulnerable to sudden evictions in a system that prioritizes empty sidewalks over human dignity. From Los Angeles to New York, a powerful groundswell of opposition has risen against homeless sweeps fueled by data, lawsuits, art, and digital activism. In Los Angeles County alone, more than 120 grassroots groups have joined forces under the Coalition for Encampment Rights, representing over 15,000 unhoused residents. Since January 2025, they've delivered 3 petitions with a combined 48,732 signatures to City Hall, demanding secure storage for personal belongings and at least 72 hours notice before any sweep. Faith-based networks have also stepped in. In Seattle, 85 churches and synagogues opened their doors to displaced campers this spring, creating temporary shelter pods that served more than 1,200 people in the first quarter of 2025. Their success sparked similar Safe Haven Sundays in Philadelphia and Chicago, where weekly outreach meals doubled as legal clinics, helping 450 individuals reclaim lost IDs and prescription records after sweeps. Civil rights advocates are taking the fight to the courts. As of May 2025, the ACLU and partner law firms have filed 12 lawsuits across 7 states, challenging the constitutionality of immediate evictions without due process. Early victories are emerging. Preliminary injunctions in San Francisco and Portland have already halted sweeps in 6 districts, shielding roughly 3,800 people from sudden displacement. Art has become another front line of resistance. In March, a Denver street art collective projected life-sized encampment scenes onto the walls of City Hall, drawing 25,000 inches-person viewers and over 200,000 online in just 2 nights. Similar installations in Miami and Atlanta have transformed government facades into stark reminders of the human beings swept away. On social media, Number Sweep Watch has generated 2.3 million impressions since February. Volunteer sweep spotters live stream clearances in real time, forcing transparency and pressuring 10 major cities, including Houston and Phoenix, to release monthly reports on sweep dates, locations, and confiscated items. Despite this momentum, progress remains uneven. While more than 18 of the top 50 U.S. cities now mandate notice and storage requirements, sweeps are still too often the first resort. True change will require more than outrage. It will demand binding policy reforms that replace erasure with empathy. Next, we'll explore the sustainable alternatives that could finally break this cycle of displacement. Housing First programs, placing people directly into permanent homes before tackling other needs, have shown transformative results. In 2025, Seattle's expanded Housing First initiative housed 1,450 people and reduced chronic unsheltered homelessness by 42% compared to the year before. Salt Lake City's statewide program, long considered a national model, reported a 40% decline in repeat homelessness after adding wraparound services in the last quarter. The lesson is clear. Stable housing isn't the finish line, it's the springboard for recovery. Across the Atlantic, European cities pair affordable housing with strong job training, mental health care, and community integration. Helsinki, often highlighted in our travel documentary exposés, sustained a 72% reduction in street homelessness this year, another milestone in a decades-long campaign. In January 2025, the Finnish government pledged an additional 150 million euros to expand supportive apartments and on-site counseling. The result? People stay housed longer, connect to jobs more quickly, and avoid the trauma of repeated displacement. Closer to home, mobile health clinics and legal aid vans are rewriting the playbook. Instead of pushing people out, these services follow encampments, delivering medical care, psychiatric counseling, and help replacing lost IDs on the spot. In Los Angeles County, a pilot fleet of 6 vans provided over 3,200 patient visits in the first quarter of 2025, up 65% from the year before, and helped residents recover more than 1,100 critical documents. What ties these approaches together is a shift from temporary clearances to lasting stability. When cities invest in long-term solutions rather than one-off sweeps, families rebuild trust in public systems, and people begin to thrive instead of merely survive. As our travel documentary journey shows, compassion backed by policy can end the cycle of displacement once and for all. Eight, conclusion. By tearing down tents and scattering belongings, homeless sweeps have proven one thing: erasing visible poverty is not the same as ending homelessness. These operations cost more in human suffering than they do in budget dollars, and they deepen the trauma of those already living on society's margins. In this exposé, we trace the roots of sweeps, from political theater to cost-cutting shortcuts, and witness the broken lives left in their wake. We've seen communities fight back, from grassroots coalitions to courtroom battles, demanding policies that place housing above harassment. And we've seen that alternatives exist. Housing First initiatives and European-style models of social integration show that affordable homes paired with strong support systems can break the cycle of displacement. You hold the power to demand better. Share this story. Add your voice to local initiatives. Let lawmakers know that humanity cannot be swept under the rug. The choice before us is clear: continue erasing lives or build a future where every person has a place to call home.